Greetings my fellow gamers, it's Rabbit here again with another StarMade video. Today I thought I'd show off one of my current builds that's almost complete and I shall be releasing on the StarMade docs, which you can see in front of you. Before we get started, I'd like to apologise for the recording message coming up. Shadow Play unfortunately will only capture my games at the moment if I have it set to desktop mode, and if I have it set to just non-desktop mode it will not give me the option to record. Also some wavy lines on the ship you can see. This is due to a recent update done to the StarMade for some reason has added these wavy lines. They've changed some lighting. I used to get these before when I have anti-aliasing turned on, but I have it turned off at the moment and these lines have come back, so I'll have to look at a way to fix that or go speak to the developers about it. Anyway, onto the video. Here's my new ship. Halo fans will automatically recognise it as being a UNSC class Paris class heavy frigate. These ships are designed as support for larger ships, the close quarter combat. They come in first, keep the enemies busy while the bigger ships get into position to attack. They're not really designed to carry vehicles and everything despite the hangars. They generally, according to lore or canon, whatever you want to call it, tend to just have a couple of shuttles on board, but I'm planning on using this as a fleet ship. But yes, it's completely advanced armour due to the fact that it is meant to take hits and get up close. I've made it 1:1 scale. I'll go into build mode here so you can see the stats. Now as you can see, you might say, but Rabbit, you just said it was complete, and it's completely empty, and I will explain that shortly. But yes, I've built this off of screenshots, tried to make it as detailed as possible. It's been a bit difficult because all the source materials are out there. The ship appears slightly different in every screenshot, so I've tried to get it as close to the middle ground as I can going by what I have. But as you can see, it's 536 metres in length, like the real deal, as real as you can get for sci-fi ships. Some of the other specs, like the height and the width, might be a little bit off. I mean, these rear thrusters here I think are a little bit wider than they should be, but by the time I noticed that, I decided I couldn't be bothered scrapping it down to be smaller. The ship is completely wedged. I point this out because one thing I have found with a lot of builds where people have attempted this is the scales are always off. They're usually not wedged, so you get a very Lego blocky look, and they usually detail them very, very poorly. No offence to the people who have made these ships. I prefer to have my ships looking authentic and to scale when I'm basing them on a franchise like StarMade, Halo. Yeah, I've seen ships and they're smaller, they've got covered in neon lights, which the ships don't have, and they just, no offence, just don't appeal to me. So I've built my own. The only thing I haven't added is the UNSC logo at the back because I don't feel I could do a good enough job to make it blend in with the stripes there, which brings me to why the ship is empty. I'll be releasing this just as a hull because, again, a lot of player ships I have downloaded that other players have created from the StarMade doc have been pretty on the outside, but I've never been happy with a lot of the systems. The balance is off, but that's also a problem with the game, which I'll briefly go into later. So what I want to do is make a ship that looks authentic on the outside, and then people can download it and kit it out as they see fit, because it is really a massive pain in the arse to go in and strip out systems and interiors of pre-created ships, or if they've got weapons you're not happy with, trying to find the computers for them and the modules they're linked to. So this way people can do their own from scratch. I will continue working on this after I release the hull and make two versions, a practical one for combat and a role-playing one. Now the reason for this as well is I don't like the way that the systems work in StarMade. Unfortunately, you have to spam systems into the ship to make them worthwhile for combat. If I build this to scale and gave it interiors and things, I mean, most spaceships you see in sci-fi with blueprints, or even naval ships in real-world naval ships, they're mostly empty. You don't have a ship that's filled up with, say, 3/4 of it occupied by power. I think this could be rectified by increasing the stats on most blocks, including their mass and cost to produce, to counter it. So you can build smaller reactors, get the power you need, but if you decide, oh well, now I've got this empty space, I can spam it full of systems you will find your ship is heavy, and it actually will work against you because, you know, if you've got a small ship and it's heavy as a Titan, it's not going to be too good on manoeuvrability, which is what you want when you're dogfighting people, regardless of the size of the ship. The only systems I have added to it is I have filled up the back ends here with thrusters, so you just need to add some power to get it so you can dock it and move it into where you need it. And I've used these turrets here, which I have taken from somebody else and modified. Each turret is welled, so it means it's slightly submerged into a cup built into the hull of the ship. And I've done this so that, one, hopefully the ship core and the rail docker holding the turret to the ship will be harder to damage and cause to come off. If it does take damage and becomes undocked, then it should hopefully come away cleanly and freely and reduce any frame rate death and lag, which is known to happen when you have a bunch of entities colliding with each other in this game. I'll be adding systems and trying to make the weapons as authentic as with the original ship, if anybody's seen that. I've had the heat seekers come out where they should. They've got the harpoon missiles here. They will be the harpoon missiles. I'll try and replicate a Mac cannon. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that because I haven't found a weapon system that really does the job. The best I can imagine is a high-powered, quick, slow firing, insta-hit damage beam, long range. I'd like to get the range up, but unfortunately I think the damage beam clocks out about 8.5 kilometres, but missiles and cannons just will not do the job as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, for a quick tour, we'll go inside and you'll be able to see what I was saying about it is essentially, for all intents and purposes, empty. I've got the ship core at the back here. I would tend to make an armoured area for ship cores and weapons computers and bury them deep in the back of the ship because most combat is head to head. So you don't want to use systems at the front where they can be damaged, but I've done these hangars here and they still need a bit of work, but it'll give something, you know, less for other players to have to worry about, because I do want this to be a fleet ship, and I'll put on some Halo sort of themed fighters into those bays, even though that's not what this ship was designed for, according to the Halo games. The only other detail I have added is this bridge here. As you can see, I've tried to style it on what I recall the Pillar of Autumn looked like from the first Halo game. I remember it being very dark and bluish. This is the lower bridge. Use advanced crystal armour here for the purpose of trying to give a sort of like hologrammy look over this tactical table. And we have the helm control, and you get a nice view outside. That's the other thing I wish to do as well, is make the windows. I've got to do something about these cameras, I've got to say. But I found this is a ship that's very difficult to put cameras on and have a clear view, unobstructed view. So that's something I need to work out. I've got crystal armour here because if I put wedges there, you get wedges and things, and it sort of obscures your vision. As you can see, there is an upper deck, but I haven't done any detailing to that yet. But yes, I've tried to make it as authentic as possible. When the ship's done, it should take and dish out hits. The original Ghost, I've got to say, I'm proud of. Despite it ending up being an ugly monstrosity, was very capable of holding its own. I've never been defeated while flying it. So yes, if you're a Halo fan, and a StarMade fan, yes, you're going to get the best of both worlds here. As soon as I make it's available, which should be very, very soon, I will update the description of this video to include a link to it to download, which will be made so you can get it off the StarMade dock, so people watching this video in the future will be able to download it. If you have any feedback on what you think of it, or anything you think needs to be changed, provide a comment below. I look forward to the feedback and any suggestions anybody has to make. They can be critical as well as praiseworthy. I've got a fairly thick skin. If you don't like it, feel free to tell me. I have got other projects in the work, Halo themed, because I think most people who know me will know I like me Halo, except for it not being on PC, and I don't do the console thing anymore. I've got my 360 still, so I'll have to go and look for some reference materials, but I'm currently working on a 1-to-1 scale Anchor 9 from the game Halo Reach, the space station that's in orbit above Reach. And I'm working with a friend on a 1-to-1 scale marathon class heavy cruiser. If you don't know what that is and can't be bothered Googling it, it's essentially a version, it's a different class of ship that's very similar to the Pillar of Autumn from the first game, which I think is a Halcyon class. The sizes are slightly different, but the Marathon class is much heavier armour-wise. It's designed for battle, not transport and things like the Pillar of Autumn sort of was designed to do. I guess while I'm here I could actually spawn in the original Ghost, or a version of it. As you can see, I've got quite a few versions. This one here I had to do generators on it to power it, but generators are now, dock generators are now useless. They've now got this explosive block, but as you can see, yeah, massive differences between them. I've had to add this big bit, as my friends call Ghost's penis. Well, I was trying to go for a keel sort of look, but I had to do that to add extra systems and things in. These hangars are occupied by generators, and I would say the original Ghost would be closer to a Charon class than a Paris class frigate, which is different. As you can see, I added bigger doors on it because I found this is the weird thing with doing 1-to-1 scale builds. I built this ship 1-to-1 scale, but if I build a 1-to-1 scale, say Pelican, which I should be able to get on board, it'll fit through these doors, but unfortunately this more authentic sort of ship, it will not fit through there, so I've got to find a way to make some Pelicans or some sort of shuttle based on the Bumblebee things. But yeah, you can see here where I've got everything filled up with systems, the same as weapons. This is the one thing that disappoints me about this game, because the scale, you've got to build weapon systems for them to be functional. Like here we have the harpoon missiles that come out the top of the hatches, so because I make everything as authentic as I can, so when you fire the harpoons, they fire up and out of here. But yeah, what you're gonna do, I've tried suggesting to the developers that the way I think it should be handled is, say, a power capacitor, for example. You take a power capacitor, you adjust the stats so that power capacitor has the same stats, including mass and cost to produce, as say 100 power capacitors. Therefore, you can put power into your ship at a much smaller block rate, which would help with performance of the game, because less blocks to be drawn, as well as it'll allow for better role-play interiors. If I built this ship to how big I imagine the reactors and engines and everything else should be, you'd be able to kill it in 2 seconds. It's the same with any sci-fi ship. If you try building, say, a Star Trek Enterprise to scale, it'll get its ass kicked by a small cube that's packed with systems, because yeah, the game's balance really needs tweaking in terms of the block count. Some people have argued that if you decrease the amount of blocks required by increasing the stats, then people would just use this extra granted space to span full of systems. That's why I think my method would work, because if it costs 10 to 100 times as much, and takes you 10 times to 100 times longer to get, and it adds 100 times the mass to your ship, you're really shooting yourself in the foot, because if you took a ship like this and you filled it up with the systems, it would become a brick. It would not turn, it would be very slow to accelerate, killing the thrust, and so I think that would keep players in check. You'd be disadvantaging yourself by trying to spam in systems, but it would allow people to make better role-play interiors, which with the upcoming NPC updates that they're planning, where you have a crew on your ship, you're going to want corridors and rooms and things on your ship, but you also want your ship to be effective. Well, that's enough of a gripe about that. Anyway, so yes, here's my UNSC Paris class frigate, the Ghost version 2.0, which I can say is a million times better than this one with its massive shoulder pads and things on it. But yeah, it's wedged. I don't know if I've already said this, because yeah, I'm just not impressed with what's out there. I like to do detailed builds. Kudos to the players who have tried doing ships like this, but you know, say Ghost here for example, as you can see, these ships are not meant to be covered from head to toe in neon lights, and I've seen stuff like that. I've seen, you know, unfortunately, I think it's because of this game that the average person doesn't have a beefy PC, and all the builds tend to go on the smaller side for the sake of performance, or that people's computers just can't do big builds like this. I've been blessed to have my 4 gig video card and 32 gig of RAM and a decent processor, so I can tend to chuck out big ships and deal with them rather well. So yeah, give us your feedback if you like this ship, if you don't like this ship, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask them and I'll answer them as best as I can. But yeah, more Halo stuff coming, as well as other designs I'm working on or have completed. I've just got to get around to exporting them and uploading them to the StarMade doc. So yeah, watch this space and watch the future videos for sort of more updates. Thank you very much for watching, and Rabbit out. Take it. Yeah, gotta love that being tongue-tied. Take it easy and have a good day, night, wherever you are, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.